Well, the plan was to do a shooting video today. It has been 50s and 60 degrees all week here in Ohio, but Mother Nature decided to change things on us. As you can see, we got some snow. The targets, that was going to be the one we're going to use today. Right there, out there, yeah, see it? So, I'm taking the easy way out, guys. We're going inside and we're going to talk some broadheads today. So I got a bunch of videos I wanted to include in there, clips from this season, and kind of go over my thoughts on mechanical broadheads. I put it to the extreme test. That extreme test isn't a gel block or anything like that. We're shooting it at steel. It was actual field use. I tested 3 broadheads. I want to go over that with you guys today. So follow along. Let's get into some mechanical broadheads. Let's go. Welcome to the Smith family basement. As you can see, your boy is definitely taking the easy way out. It's like 19, 20 degrees outside. Got the 8 inches of snow, and I've been wanting to do this video for a while. So what better day? Instead of doing a shooting video today, we're going to talk about some mechanical broadheads. So I've been trying to do these Sunday shoot around videos every week, trying to put them up every Sunday during the off season. Not going to be doing a lot of shooting. Going to be looking at some videos of shooting today, but let's get into these broadheads. So this past season, I tested 3 mechanical broadheads. I have not been a mechanical broadhead guy. Probably the past 3 or 4 years, I've pretty much exclusively shot fixed blade broadheads, had good success with them, but did a little research and kind of wanted to try some things out. So myself included, I have made videos in the past, broadhead videos. And you typically when you make that kind of video, you're doing the gel block. Mine failed miserably. I think I shot some concrete and I did, how it flew at 100 yards. That's all great, but like, what about the field test? So I wanted to field test some mechanical broadheads. So I basically dedicated my season to only shooting mechanicals, and I shot 3 different kinds. So I didn't just pick one. The first of which is going to be the Rage Hypodermic, the Swhacker for the second, and then the third was the Thorn Broadhead. I was fortunate enough that I was able to harvest a whitetail here in Ohio with each one of those broadheads. So that's what this video today is about, is how each of these did and kind of my thoughts moving forward. So let's jump right into it. The first one I shot was the Rage Hypodermic. So I'll put the prices and everything like that. This is a 100 grain mechanical broadhead. I've shot these Rage Hypodermics in the past, probably more than most other mechanical broadheads. The thing I really didn't like about them in the past was the collar that they had. So they used to have a black collar that you kind of press the broadhead down into and then screwed in. And they just kind of like broke down over time. And then like when it came to practicing, if you want to practice with the broadhead, they used to include like a practice head, but if you wanted to practice with your actual broadhead, that collar, I mean, they gave you a couple extra ones, but the thing I love, probably the number one thing I love about the new Rage Hypodermic is that there's no collar. So as you can see there, it locks in itself here. So you just position it right and it just clips in. And you know what? It stays. So I had some reservations about it. I didn't know how it would do in the quiver. Are these gonna come apart? It did not. It stays right there. So really cool. I basically took one of them and made it just an exclusive practice head. And you can sharpen these too. And then it held up really well. So the first whitetail I harvested was a doe, opening morning with that Rage Hypodermic. The shot, pretty basic shot, 20 yards, broadside. What I've learned about mechanicals, all 3 of these mechanicals are 2-inch cut. You don't get the penetration, but the reason why I think I'm becoming a mechanical guy and I'm going to shoot these again next year is I'm kind of realizing you don't need that penetration. So with that 2-inch cut, the hole is so devastating, the entry hole, that all 3 of these animals ran, I didn't like pace it off or mark it off, but none of them ran over 75 yards. I want to say they were all 50 or under. The third with the Thorn might have been a little further, But that Rage Hypodermic broadside shot at 20 yards just was devastating. It did eventually pass through, like as she took off, the arrow worked its way through, I did find it. So the Rage Hypodermic was the only one with the pass through. But we're talking like 30, 40 yards. I had my dog Archer, he tracked her just to get him some practice, completely unnecessary. The other thing I learned about these mechanicals, the blood trail was phenomenal. So not really there though for the first like 20 yards. That first 10 to 20 yards is really nothing. Kind of like got to get used to that, because in your mind it's like, where is it? You know, I thought I hit it well. Where's the blood trail? But like once you hit that 20-yard mark, it's just like somebody threw paint all over the ground. And the best thing about testing these broadheads was these weren't all three easy shots. I guess the first one, 20 yards from a blind broadside, about as easy as it gets. I think it was like slightly quartering away, if I remember right. We'll see in the video there. But the other two were definitely not easy shots. So the buck I took a nice 8-pointer, as you can see there. Took him with the Swhacker. So 2-inch Swhacker, the Levi Morgan Special. Got the price there. Man, I don't know if I find him if I wasn't shooting a 2-inch mechanical. I think any one of these would have got the job done. Super difficult shot. So in the full video that I put up, I don't get the buck on camera. I had my GoPro didn't turn on, and my main camera was pointing a completely different way. The buck came from the opposite direction that I was expecting to. Came from behind me. I had to spin around. I had a 23-yard shot through some trees. It was kind of my only shooting lane. I had to stop him in that shooting lane. I knew all this going in, because, you know, good thing to do is check when you first get that stand, is check, you know, like what's every situation that can play out. We know there's an ideal situation, but what is everything that can happen? I was like, you know, they could come along that creek from my backside. So I had already had it ranged. I knew it was 23 yards. I knew I had one spot to stop him. Fortunately, I was able to do that. And I stopped him right in that hole, hard quartering away shot. Like I did basically, he was so hard quartering away, I had to put it on his stomach. And when he took off, I could see the arrow sticking out of him. And part of me, like my heart sank, but part of me knew that's probably because I hit a backside shoulder, which means I got at least minimum one lung on the way there. So super hard quartering away shot. I'm thinking we got to have a search party. I'm going to need Archer. I'm going to need, you know, we're probably looking like a half mile here. I just kind of wanted to see, got in that 20-yard range. There's blood everywhere. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to back out. It's good blood. I kept following it, and like, bam, like 50 yards, he's laying there. Arrow's still stuck inside of him. From hunting for years with fixed blades, I don't know if I get him shooting that fixed blade. People talk about, you know, just make a perfect shot and, you know, this and that. That's great, but like hunting's not perfect. It's really not. Like you get put in some bad situations. That was a bad situation that I was in. He came from the last place that I wanted him to come to, hard quartering away. I mean, super hard, to the point where like you're questioning if you should even take the shot. I took the shot, made a hit as well as I could hit, but the equipment helped me out. I ended up getting both lungs, and part of that was due to the 2-inch fixed blade. So the third was a hunt a week later in Meigs County, a hanging hunt, and I wanted to try this Thorn. So real quick, before we move on to the Thorn, the Swhacker, my thoughts. I like the Swhacker. I guess the thing I'm not a big collar guy. So what holds the blades in place is that yellow collar. When I first put the collar on, it came kind of loose, like the blades were rattling. Pretty easy fix. You just take like a blow dryer and just heat it up, and it just shrinks it down, and it's nice and tight. But for the practice element, I don't believe the Swhackers came with the practice head. They do have extra collars, but like, then again, like if you're changing your setup or you know, just testing your equipment, it makes it hard to do with limited collars. Other than that, great penetration for that shot that I took with it, hitting the backside shoulder, phenomenal cut, extremely accurate broadhead. Definitely gonna keep it in the quiver. Definitely keep it in the quiver. The last one was the Thorn, very similar. The Thorn doesn't have a collar. They have, you kind of thread it, you can see that orange dot there. You put this kind of peg looking thing through and then cut it off, and that's what keeps it. There's no movement in the blade. I think the most positive about the Thorn, it's gonna be the most quiver friendly. So just like, look how much space it takes up in your quiver compared to the Rage. I mean, you can see the Rage is gonna stick out further. So is the Swhacker. So it's like having a field point in your quiver. So if you have a tight quiver where you're trying to carry a bunch of arrows, especially on a big hunt out west or something, it's like having a field point in your quiver. Accuracy wise, all of these fly like field points. So it's right up there accuracy wise. 2-inch cut. Shot a deer in Meigs County, Ohio with it. Quartering away shot, not super hard, but I was at full draw for a long time before the video started rolling. A situation where I'd already filled the buck tag the previous week, which I had an 8-pointer step out. The way it happened is I heard movement coming from the side of me, so got the bow ready to draw. I hear it coming out. I can kind of see in the peripheral vision something's coming. I had a good opportunity to draw before it gets out in this opening in front of me, so I went ahead, drew back, and it's a nice 8-point buck. I'm already tagged out on bucks. So I didn't want to, it was staring at me, didn't want to let down, held it full draw, completely off the deer, nowhere near it. And then when I got a good chance, let down. The reason, he had doe with him. So waited till they came by, redrew, already tired, quartering away shot, had to stop it. What I thought I made a really good shot, but the thing was, when you look at the footage, I thought I stopped it. Like, I thought it stopped dead in its tracks. It did not. It was still moving forward when I shot it. So the shot hit further back a little bit than I thought. Still a good shot, still got both lungs, but like was towards the rear of getting those lungs. Yeah, I like it to have been further closer to the front of the deer. But again, that comes into these mechanicals. And I've been that guy that was like, just learn how to shoot, you know, just shoot better. But like I said previously, the reality of bow hunting is things don't always go your way. So when things don't go your way, even if you're a perfect shot, these can really help you out. And something that's not going your way is the deer not fully stopping when you think it stops, especially when everything's happening so fast around you, or you're at full draw for several minutes and your literally shoulders are shaking so bad, just trying to keep that bow back. There's so many situations. The wind, that was kind of what leaded this change, is these all flew great in the wind. So like in the past, shooting fixed blade broadheads, I could get them to tune really well at 100 yards, but you start adding like wind elements and it's basically like putting fletchings on the front of your arrow. So the wind really moved around the fixed blades, which is kind of what led me to want to try mechanicals. And I thought it would be cool to test them. So kind of moving on to my final thoughts. To be honest, I'm planning on shooting mechanicals all next year. I'm not planning on purchasing any fixed blade broadheads. If some get sent to me, I'll definitely try them out. I'll definitely review them, but I'm going to keep shooting. I'm going to have each one of these 3 in my quiver. I was kind of sold through my field testing that they worked for me phenomenally. I think the only thing a mechanical of 2 inches is going to lack is some penetration. If you got to shoot through the shoulder on, you know, super quartering 2 shot, but realistically, that's going to be not a big fraction of your shot. And based on the penetration I saw, especially with this hypodermic here, I think it can still get you enough to where you're getting a lung on a super, you know, if you had a shot where you had to shoot through the shoulder, I'd feel comfortable with it. The one thing I really didn't test is I didn't have to shoot through any thick stuff. So pretty much all my shots, so this would be one takeaway, is they're all super clean shots. I'm not shooting through grass and things like that. You are gonna have superior edge shooting a fixed blade if you're hunting, say, like some plains or some CRP, where there's some little bit of stuff in the way. I can't speak to how these would hold up shooting through some stuff. That's kind of what I want to keep working with them. But as of now, as I'm making this video, I'm going to be shooting mechanical broadheads kind of until they prove me wrong. I really like how Rage improved their hypodermic. I'd had some issues with that collar in the past. I'd be walking through the woods and I'd hear like clinking. And it was because that collar had came undone, and I'm going to hunt and I got like a blade hanging out like that. So super happy with the improvements of Rage. I know they've had some some people swear by them. I've also had a lot of negativity over the past few years. So I'm definitely pretty fond of that. So we're gonna keep testing them, be shooting them during turkey season here. Hopefully put a coyote down with them. But comment down below what you guys like to shoot. Just because I'm moving forward with them next year, I flip and flop all the time. I could go on one hunt with these and go back to fixed blades. I have been a big fan of Muzzy Trocar, and the other ones that I did a review on, the Tooth of the Arrow, their broadhead shot phenomenal for me. Those have been the kind of two mechanicals. I think each of them are gonna have flaws. Every broadhead is gonna have a flaw at some point. Just kind of pick your poison. Like, what do you want that flaw to be? These are gonna lack some penetration, but you get a big cut and you get superior accuracy. So you got to kind of see what's right for you. Don't just go off my video. Depending on where you hunt and like what you would, what's more important to you, you got to pick that broadhead. So for me, I'm going to choose the accuracy and the cut going next year rather than some penetration and the ability to shoot through some stuff. I didn't have a lot of shots this year where I needed to shoot through stuff. So the one thing I will say, I think whatever route you pick, whether it's gonna be fixed blade or mechanical, I think it's always good to carry one of the other in your quiver. So what I'm saying is, if I'm carrying Rage Hypodermics, if I get a couple of them in my quiver, I'm still gonna carry a Muzzy Trocar in there as well. And the great thing about the Trocar broadhead is it can group pretty well with a mechanical. So I'm not gonna have to re-sight in my bow if I get a switch. That Trocar broadhead does a great job grouping with mechanicals. So that's when I'm gonna keep in my quiver in case I get into a hunting situation where I'm gonna need it. So comment down below, hit that like and subscribe. We'll be out shooting. I might get out there tomorrow. I'm getting out there today to practice, but we might film tomorrow. We'll have to see what's going on. Thanks for watching. Comment down below what you guys like to shoot. Have a great day.